Have you ever felt like your mind is a highway with no exit? Daniel Miller stared at the ceiling at 2:47 a.m. Again. The same ceiling he'd been staring at for the past 3 months. His heart raced, even though his body lay perfectly still. Tomorrow's presentation. Last week's mistake. Next month's deadline. The thoughts crashed into each other like an endless pileup. Phoenix slept around him, but Daniel's mind was a riot. At 38, he'd become exactly what he swore he'd never be. A zombie in a suit. His title read, Marketing Manager at Tech Vista Solutions, but the real job description was simpler. Survive. Survive the calls, the meetings, the emails that multiplied like bacteria. Survive the impossible expectations and the creeping sensation that no matter how fast he ran, he was always falling behind. Coffee had become his religion. Screens, his scripture. His wife Claire stopped asking him to come to bed early. Their 9-year-old son Evan stopped asking him to play. Daniel saw it in the boy's eyes. That quiet resignation when Dad said, maybe tomorrow, for the 100th time. He felt it. The weight of becoming a stranger in his own life. The insomnia was just the surface. Beneath it, a darker truth festered. Daniel was terrified. Terrified of failing at work. Terrified of disappointing his family. Terrified that the man he'd become was permanent. The silence of night wasn't peaceful. It was deafening with the screams of his own mind. The collapse came on a Tuesday. Not with a bang, but with silence. The wrong kind. Daniel stood before the executive team, presentation open, slides perfect. He opened his mouth to speak. Nothing came out. His throat constricted. The words evaporated. 20 faces stared back, waiting. His boss leaned forward, concerned. A colleague coughed uncomfortably. Daniel's heart hammered so violently he thought it would break through his ribs. The room began to tilt. Sweat beaded on his forehead. His hands trembled. I need a moment. He bolted. In the parking lot, he gasped for air, hands on knees, the Arizona sun beating down mercilessly. His whole body shook. Panic attack. The doctor would call it later. But in that moment, Daniel just knew one thing. He was breaking. The diagnosis came 2 days later. Severe anxiety. Your nervous system is fried, Daniel. You need to rest your mind. How? He asked helplessly. The doctor hesitated. There's a corporate wellness program, 7 days. It might help. Daniel laughed bitterly. 7 days to fix years of chaos? Impossible. But when Claire touched his hand that night and whispered, please try. For Evan. For us. He heard the desperation in her voice. He had no plan B. The next morning, he signed up. The Tech Vista Wellness Program met in a converted conference room stripped of its corporate coldness. Soft lighting, plants, mats on the floor. It looked like a space designed for something Daniel didn't understand. Stillness. 10 colleagues sat in a circle, all wearing the same expression. Skeptical exhaustion. Then she walked in. Nora Bennett moved like water, unhurried, present. Late 50s, silver hair pulled back, eyes that seemed to see through walls. She was the company's internal wellness coordinator, though most employees treated her department like a HR checkbox. Welcome, she said simply, sitting cross-legged with an ease that made Daniel's stiff back ache just watching. For the next 7 days, we're going to practice one thing, silence. Someone snorted. Daniel wanted to. 10 minutes a day, Nora continued, unfazed. No phone, no music, no TV, no distractions. Just you, your breath, and whatever comes up. That's it? A woman asked incredulously. That's everything, Nora replied. Daniel's internal critic was already drafting the resignation speech. This is what's supposed to fix years of anxiety. Sitting still and breathing? What a waste of... Your mind is loud right now, Nora said, looking directly at him. That's good. It means you're starting to notice. How did she know? Today, we begin. 10 minutes. I'll guide you. The first session was torture. Daniel sat, eyes closed, and immediately his mind launched into overdrive. The presentation he bombed, the email he forgot to send, the sound of someone breathing too loudly 3 people over, an itch on his nose, the AC humming, Evan's disappointed face, Claire's worried eyes, bills, deadlines, failures. Notice the thoughts, Nora's voice floated through the chaos. Don't fight them. They're not the problem. Your relationship with them is. What does that even mean? When the timer chimed, Daniel felt more agitated than when he started. Good, Nora said, reading his face. The chaos you feel isn't new. You're just finally noticing it. The noise was always there. You've just been running from it. Walking to his car, Daniel felt like he'd failed at sitting still. How pathetic. Day 2. Daniel almost didn't show up, but something Nora said haunted him. You've been running from yourself. He arrived 5 minutes late, slipping into the circle silently. Nora simply nodded, no judgment. Today, she began, we practice one thing, noticing without fixing. Your mind will scream. Your job is not to silence it, but to watch it like clouds passing. Clouds, Daniel thought. My mind is a tornado, not clouds. They sat again. 10 minutes. An eternity. But this time, something shifted. Barely. Almost imperceptibly. When the thought came, you're wasting time. You should be working. Instead of spiraling into panic, Daniel tried Nora's instruction. He imagined the thought as a cloud. Let it drift. Another came. Evan hates you. He watched it. Painful, yes, but just a cloud. The breakthrough was microscopic, but it was there. After the session, Nora called him aside. You're trying too hard, she said gently. Silence isn't the absence of noise, Daniel. It's the space you create around the noise. I don't understand. You will. Keep showing up. Day 3 through 5 blurred together. A boot camp of the mind. Each morning, Daniel sat. Each morning, his mind rebelled. But slowly, incrementally, he began to notice patterns. The anxiety always peaked at the same time, 3 a.m. and right before work. Most of his fears were predictions, not realities. He was narrating his life instead of living it. On day 4, Nora gave them homework. Find one ordinary moment today. Just be in it. No phone, no planning, just presence. Daniel chose lunch. Normally, he'd eat at his desk, emails open. Instead, he sat in the cafeteria courtyard, just eating, just chewing, just tasting. A bird landed nearby. He watched it, not photographing it, not posting about it, just watching. For 30 seconds, his mind went quiet. It was the most peaceful he'd felt in years. Day 5 brought the real test. Nora started the session differently. Today, no guidance, just you and the silence. 15 minutes. Terror gripped Daniel. I can't do this alone. But he tried. The first 5 minutes were hell. Thoughts screamed. His back hurt. He peeked at the clock. Only 5 minutes? Then, somewhere around minute 8, something cracked open. He stopped fighting. He let the thoughts come. Really, let them. Failure. Fear. Shame. Let them crash like waves. And beneath them, beneath the storm he'd been running from his entire adult life. Space. Stillness. Peace. It lasted maybe 10 seconds before his mind grabbed it and screamed, I'm doing it! I'm finally! and the peace vanished. But he'd tasted it. When the timer rang, Daniel opened his eyes. Nora was smiling at him, knowing. "You found it," she said. He nodded, unable to speak, tears threatening. Day 6 arrived with cruel irony. Daniel woke to an email. Company-wide restructuring announcement. Budget cuts, staff reductions. Details Friday. The old Daniel would have spiraled immediately. His mind would have written his termination letter, his family's ruin, his total failure. All before breakfast. Instead, he felt it coming, that familiar tsunami of panic, and he paused. Sitting on the edge of his bed, he closed his eyes, breathed, watched the fear like a cloud. I might lose my job. That's a possibility, not a certainty. And even if I do, I'll handle it. The peace didn't last long, but it was there. At the wellness session, the room vibrated with anxiety. Everyone had seen the email. Nora addressed it head-on. Life will always bring storms. Silence isn't about avoiding them. It's about finding the calm at the center of the hurricane. Today's practice was different. 20 minutes in complete silence. Then she wanted them to write one thing down. What am I afraid of? And what would happen if I stopped fighting it? Daniel wrote furiously, I'm afraid of failing, of losing everything, of proving I'm not enough. And if I stopped fighting? Maybe I'd see that I've been at war with myself. Maybe I'd see that I'm already enough, even if I fail. The words shocked him. Had he really been his own worst enemy all along? That evening, Daniel did something revolutionary. He left work at 5 p.m. Not because he'd finished everything, he never did, but because he chose to. At home, he found Evan in the backyard with his skateboard, attempting tricks and failing repeatedly. The old Daniel would have waved from the window and gone back to his laptop. Instead, he walked outside. Hey, buddy, can I watch? Evan's face lit up, surprise and hope mixing. Really? Really? Daniel sat on the porch step. No phone, no mental checklist, just watching his son. Evan attempted an ollie, fell, laughed, tried again. Daniel felt Nora's voice in his head. Notice without fixing. He didn't give advice, didn't check his watch, didn't plan the next hour. He just was. After 10 minutes, Evan stopped, breathing hard, and sat next to him. Neither spoke for a moment. Then, Dad, you're different today. Daniel looked at his son. Different how? You're here, like really here. Those words pierced Daniel's chest like a sword. When had he stopped being here? When had his son learned to expect his absence, even when he was present? I'm sorry, Daniel whispered. I've been gone for a while, haven't I? Evan leaned against him. It's okay. You're back now. In that moment, Daniel understood what Nora meant. Presence wasn't a technique. It was a choice. And that choice was available every single moment. Friday arrived, the day of reckoning. The announcement meeting was scheduled for 2 p.m. Daniel sat through the morning in a state between peace and terror. He practiced what Nora taught. Notice, breathe, release. At 1:50 p.m., he felt it. The old panic rising, heart racing, chest tightening. The parking lot scene threatening to repeat itself. Instead of running to the meeting, he did something radical. He walked outside, the same parking lot where he'd collapsed 2 weeks ago. This time, he chose to be there. He found a shaded spot, sat on a curb, and closed his eyes. Let it come. Don't fight it. The fear crashed over him. Job loss, financial ruin, disappointing Claire, failing Evan. He watched each thought like Nora taught him. Clouds. Just clouds. And then, beneath the fear, He found it again. The space. In that space, a question emerged. Not from his anxious mind, but from somewhere deeper. What if I can't control what happens, but I can control who I am in what happens? The tightness in his chest released. He opened his eyes and realized he'd been trying to control life instead of living it. He stood, walked back inside, and entered the conference room. Calm. 3 weeks later, the cuts happened. Daniel's department lost 2 people, but he remained. His proposal had not only saved his position, but earned him a promotion to senior manager. But that wasn't the victory that mattered. The real transformation showed up in smaller ways. He slept through the night now, most nights at least. When insomnia came, he didn't fight it. He'd sit with it, breathe, let it pass. He left work by 5:30 p.m. consistently. Not because the work was done, it never was, but because he'd learned that presence at home mattered more than perfection at work. He started a morning routine, 10 minutes of silence before the day began. Some days were peaceful. Some days his mind screamed. Both were okay. Most importantly, Evan. They had a new ritual. Saturday mornings in the backyard. Evan would practice skateboard tricks. Daniel would sit on the porch with coffee. No phone, and just watch. Sometimes they'd talk. Sometimes they wouldn't. But they were together. One Saturday, Evan landed a trick he'd been attempting for weeks. "Dad, did you see that?" Daniel looked up from his coffee, smiling. "I did." "That was incredible." Evan ran over, breathless and proud. "You know what's cool?" "What?" "You actually saw it. Before, you'd be looking at your phone." The words hit Daniel in the chest, but with gratitude, not guilt. "You're right," he admitted. "I was here, but I wasn't really here." Evan sat next to him. "But you are now. That's what matters." Out of the mouths of 9-year-olds, Daniel thought, comes the deepest wisdom. They sat together, father and son, in comfortable silence. The good kind, the healing kind. That night, Claire found Daniel on their back porch, watching the stars. "You okay?" she asked, joining him. "More than okay," he said. "I was just thinking about something Nora said. She asked me what I was afraid of and what would happen if I stopped fighting it. And I was afraid of failing, of not being enough. And I spent years fighting that fear, working longer, pushing harder, drowning in my own mind. But when I finally stopped fighting, I realized something." "What?" "The fear was the problem, not what I feared." Daniel took her hand. "When I emptied my mind of all that noise, all those wars with myself, I found what was there all along. This, us, Evan, the sunset, life." "What?" Claire rested her head on his shoulder. "I'm proud of you." "I'm just learning," he said. "Every day I'm learning to let go. And every day I let go, I grow." They sat in silence. The kind of silence that isn't empty, but full of everything that matters. Daniel kept the card Nora gave him on his desk. Let go to grow. On hard days, and there were still hard days, he'd read it and remember. His mind would always create noise. Anxiety might always visit. Life would always bring challenges. But he also remembered this. He was not the storm. He was the sky in which storms passed. And in that remembering, he found peace. Not the peace of having everything figured out, but the peace of knowing he didn't need to. The peace of presence. The peace of letting go. The peace within. The quiet revolution had begun. Not with silence, but with the courage to finally stop running from it. This story reminds us that peace isn't found by silencing the mind. It's found by stopping the war with it. Daniel didn't learn to empty his thoughts. He learned to empty his fear of them. And in that space, he found everything he'd been searching for. So here's my question for you. What noise in your mind are you still fighting that you could simply let pass? If this story touched something deep, drop the word peace in the comments. Let me know you made it to the end. Share what city you're watching from. Your presence here matters. Subscribe and hit that notification bell because every week I share stories that might just change how you see your struggles. Click the card on screen for another powerful transformation story. And remember, your peace might be just one breath away from becoming real.